modulation, common chord modulation. I'm going to take just a very simple example here to start us off with. And in class, I'll do more with these. I have the bass line and the chords already in just to get things moving. Let me explain a little bit here. We're going from C major to G major. So to get there, we're going to use the 6 chord as the 2 chord. What you have to watch out for when you do this is the accidentals you have to add later on. So this is such a short example, it's probably not even going to sound like a true modulation, but I keep these early ones, these early examples we do short, so you can get the idea, you can get the feel without having to overwork yourself and lose sight of what the goal is here. So we'll start here by putting in a simple soprano line. Give me 1 second here. So probably don't want that. The B is part of the 6/4 progression, and then we get down to the last note. Okay, if I play this for you now, it's not going to sound really all that special because there's nothing that indicates. It kind of sounds like it could be a half cadence. It could be a it could be a PAC in the in or C major, G major, sorry. So as we start adding the inner voices, and again, I may have to change upper voices as we go along, but if I do the traditional alto line and put in, okay, traditional alto line so far, and we'll go up to A, and then resolve our leading tone. So really there's nothing new in the part writing here. It's just you have to realize you've gone to G major, so you're going to have to put this sharp in. If you get a example, I think your first assignments are all chords. If you get an example that's just figured bass, that's easy to remember because there'll be a sharp under here, which just because this is a simple chord example, I didn't put in because you're supposed to know from the chord that that's there, that the sharp is there. So, okay, if I go in here now and I put in the tenor line, F, because it's a 6/5 chord, so we gotta get that 7th in. E, E. Okay, so E, we can go down to D. We'll put that in as our half note. There we are. So there's our completed project here. So what we've done here, what you have to do initially is establish the first key. 1-5-1 is the strongest way to establish a key, obviously. So we get over to this pivot chord. We have 1-5-1-6, but then it carries on from 2 to the cadential 6/4 to 1. So we get that predominant dominant tonic function in the second example, or in the second key. So there's not really much more to talk about with these. There is another example I have. In E flat, so let's go through that quickly. E flat going to C minor, so we're going to have to remember here to put in a B natural when we get to the 5/7. Other than that, all the notes are going to be the same as E flat. So if I go up here and put in Oh, let's not do this one on B flat. Um, oh, I guess we'll start on, well, God, it's not going to be a very interesting soprano line if I follow all the rules. So, um, uh, C, then the 2. Oh, I have a wrong bass note in there. We'll fix that in a second. But the C will work there, B natural, and then back up to C. It's supposed to be a 2-6-5. I have a root position 2-7 chord there, so we'll fix that now. So this all works fine, and this will probably sound more like a modulation than the other one did with 2 voices. Okay, once again, we're setting the initial key, 1-5, 1-4. You can't get much stronger than that. Let's go here and put in our altos. And we'll start them on B flat. We'll do the traditional alto line here. I want to go back here and I want to get that 7th in because I think it's important. And I think it'll make things easier for the tenors if we do that. So we have that little passing tone. And we go in here now and put in the tenors. And they'll be starting on the G. They'll be starting on this high G here. Apparently they've wronged me in some way that I demand satisfaction. I could fill in some of these gaps with passing tones. I'm just doing a framework right now. And then here. Okay, once again, we're using 4 as 6 in the new key. So we have our pivot chord. And when we listen to this, okay, so pretty basic example. It works very well. One thing I really want to stress to you here, the pivot chord has always got to be in both keys. It cannot be the chromatic chord. If I go back to the first example, it can't be this chord here. And it really shouldn't be a 6-4 chord. 6-4 chords are weak, so they can't really support being the pivot for the modulation. So we have to go back here to this last chord that can function in the old key, but it's the first chord that can function in the new key. So if you're trying to pivot on the chord that has the accidental, it's not going to work. You got to go backwards and find the chord that does. Okay, there may be multiple chords. Okay, and if you're not in my class, you'll want to check with your instructor about how they prefer to label that, because I often have my students, I tell my students if there's multiple pivot chords and you're not sure which one to pick them all. Show how they are all related, because the reality is the longer that series of chords is, the smoother, the more transparent that modulation's going to be. Okay, so good luck with that, and I will be back with another video hopefully before too much longer.